All You Need is a Good Book is going to be my excuse for today's book haul. Hi everyone, my name is Kayla and welcome back to Kay's Hidden Shelf where we talk about books. Today's video is going to be late. Typically I post my videos on Wednesday. Of course this one is coming out a bit later and that is because the flu ran through the house over the last week or so and I lost my voice, as seems to be typical at this point. Anytime I get sick, my voice is the first, or actually I should say the last thing to go, because it seems to be the last symptom that happens with every cold flu that I get. But clearly that has not stopped me from buying books. So today we are going to go through the books that I have purchased and a section of books where the authors have provided me review copies in exchange for an honest review. So we're going to go through it all today, but I will have to say I need to go through a reorganization of my bookshelves quite soon because there's no order to the madness. Let's put it that way. They're not organized in any particular system, and the chaos is starting to become a little concerning, especially as I add books to my shelves because, well, there's no system. So yeah, everything just kind of gets thrown in and I need to reorganize it. So if you have any tips for reorganizing bookshelves, by all means, send them my way, leave a comment below because I need some help in that. So let's dig into this book haul with the first three books because it is an entire trilogy I purchased and there's reasoning behind why I got all three at the same time. But that is the Bloodsworn Saga by John Gwynne, and the reason I got all three was because the final book in the trilogy, The Fury of the Gods, released recently, and books 1 and 2 were on sale. Now, I don't already have physical copies of books 1 and 2. With a caveat to that, I do have a UK signed edition of The Shadow of the Gods, but I don't have matching copies to those and they are quite expensive to buy. So for the savings in price, ultimately this was actually cheaper for me to get. To me, John Gwynne does a phenomenal job with his storytelling and his world. You can see his passion and dedication through all of his POVs, the world, how he crafts it all together within the story is just phenomenal. And yes, so I am so excited to read the conclusion of this trilogy, especially after where book 2 left off, which was just intense, and I am loving it. So yes, I got all three with their beautiful covers to boot as well. If you love Norse mythology, Ragnarok retellings, and a very gritty world with lots of action and fighting and intriguing characters to boot, this is absolutely a trilogy I would recommend. Oh, I'm so excited to see what happens with the finale. The next one is an author who is familiar to me, but I have yet to read, despite many of their works being on my TBR. So I decided to buy this one. It piqued my curiosity. I really want to try it. And that is Beyond Redemption by Michael R. Fletcher, who is a Canadian author. Now, I'm going to read the tagline for this one because this is where my curiosity became piqued. Faith shapes the landscape, defines the laws of physics, and makes a mockery of truth. Common knowledge isn't an axiom, it's a force of nature. What the masses believe is an axiom. But insanity is a weapon, conviction a shield, delusions give birth to foul new gods. And part of the reason why this is so intoxicating and interesting to me is because we have a world where men and women, their delusions manifest and twist reality. So that concept to me is very fascinating. And from as far as I've heard, and a big reason why I want to start reading this author is because he is known for writing pretty grim and dark worlds, which I love as well. So this one is going to be one of my probably sooner reads than later. I really want to dig into Michael's writing and see just what makes this so fascinating, how this works out. Can you imagine your delusions becoming reality? That's a terrifying thought. in my opinion. So the next book I purchased, I actually have been waiting for this one to go on sale on Book Outlet. If you're not familiar with this, it is an online seller where you can get discounted books. And this is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. Now, the reason I've been waiting for book one for so long is because I actually managed to buy books 2 and 3 in this trilogy a while ago. When I say a while ago, I mean probably about 8 months ago, maybe a year. It's been a while. So I finally have gotten book one off of Book Outlet so I can begin reading this one as well. Overall, I enjoy Brandon Sanderson's writing. I enjoy his storytelling. Yes, not everything is going to hit the mark or be perfect, but overall, he is a pretty steady author that provides entertainment, which is a big part of why I read as well. So I am really curious to see how he does a sci-fi in particular. This is supposed to have a whole ton of sci-fi oriented spaceships and travel and fighting and just world building, and it's supposed to be action packed as well. So I'm really curious to see how he goes from a fantasy world into a sci-fi. While shopping on Book Outlet, I also found The Fall of Babel by Josiah Bancroft. This is the final book in the Books of Babel series, book one being Senlin Ascends, which I read recently, and I do want to continue with the series. So while it was on sale with their Black Friday deals, I absolutely wanted to snag a copy. Now I just need books 2 and 3 so I can continue reading. Now, this one is one that I wanted to read when it released. Unfortunately, I didn't get to it in time because it went from being an indie book to being picked up by a traditional publisher, which is absolutely phenomenal. And this is by M.L. Wong, which is one of my standout authors, memorable authors, and that's Blood Over Brighthaven. I am so excited to read this book. I got the, I guess, Indigo special edition with the sprayed edging. And shortly after buying this, broken binding, they announced that they were doing a special edition version of this, and now I am considering if I made the right choice in the version that I bought. Either way, I have a physical copy, which I am very grateful for, so I can start digging into the story. Emma Wong wrote The Sword of Kaigen, which is one of my most memorable reads. It's the first book that made me cry, it took me through emotional trenches, and just spat me out on the other end, just devastated. And intrigued and wanting more. So I am eager to see what her latest story has for all of us and whether or not I'm going to be as devastated as I was from The Sword of Kaigen. And the last book in this category is Turning Darkness into Light by Marie Brennan, who also wrote the Natural History of Dragons series, which I've heard amazing things about. The reason I picked this one up first before the Natural History of Dragons is because it was on sale, and that's going to be the reason for a lot of my book purchases, let's be honest. A big reason why this series intrigues me is I love the idea of scholars in a fantasy world. I love that setting, the character, the questions they ask, why they, because I love world building, and I love when a character asks the same questions I'm asking. How did it evolve that way? Why does it work that way? Where did this come from? Is it evolution? Is it just magic? I need to know. Now, this is a companion standalone novel to the main series, and it follows the granddaughter of presumably the main character within the main series, because I have not read it yet, where she is following her scholarly dreams. She gets hired to decipher some tablets and ends up tripping into a conspiracy. Shenanigans ensue. Here is my question for anyone who has read this. Is it better to start with the main series and then read this standalone companion novel, or can I just dig into this one? Leave your comments below because I would love some guidance on that. Those are the books I've purchased. Let's talk about the books that were very kindly sent my way. And the first one is Lightfall by Ed Crocker. You Are What You Drink. This is a novel of vampires, werewolves, and sorcerers. Lightfall is a debut for the author and for fans of J. Kristoff's Empire of the Vampire and Richard Swan's Justice of Kings. Ed and I ended up chatting over books that we've read by David Ragg and other books, and we have very similar tastes in writing, I think, and storytelling, and I'm very excited to see what Ed has created here. I expect to be gutted. It's the only thing I can say about that, but it is releasing in January 2025, so keep your eyes peeled for this one. if you have not already, and it sounds up your alley. Next is A Ballad of Vengeance by Karim Solomon. I assisted Karim with a cover reveal for this one. It has a stunning cover to it, and I've enjoyed one of Karim's books previously where I actually need to continue that series he's written. I believe it's finished now. I have been terrible with finishing series, which is a goal I am trying to work better at finishing series, but this is one that it just looks epic. For the quick pitch on this one, it is an epic fantasy that blends Egyptian and Norse mythology into a tale of family and revenge. Yeah, I want to know. This sounds amazing. And then the blend of Egyptian and Norse cultures. Yeah, that's going to be intriguing. Next is one that I was very lucky to be able to beta read, and that is The Nomad's Crucible by Charles McGarry, who is also Chaz over on Bookish Chaz. If you have not checked out his YouTube channel, please go do that. He's also written Talendor's Guest, so this, I believe, is his second book that he's written. Like I said, I was very lucky in order to be able to beta read it. It's an interesting book, and I want to reread it because I need to know what was changed, if anything. I am just one of those people where I will not review a book based on what I read in the beta read, because to me it's an incomplete product. So I always love going back and rereading the ones that I've beta read. This blends a nomadic assassin essentially, and the action, the lore, the intensity, and then you have this main character who is just, he never leaves anyone alive. He doesn't leave any of his marks alive. He is known as the Nomad. He has arcane powers, and something terrible is released into the world he finds himself at odds with, and things that are above his head, which, yeah, all of it comes together with a fascinating world building. And yes, I am really excited to reread this. Congrats to Chaz again for releasing this one back in October. I think time is just flying at this point. And yes, he sent me a copy in exchange for doing the beta read. Thank you so much, Chaz. The next one is book 1 in the Sleeper series, and that is An Exile of Water and Gold by Joshua Walker, who, huge kudos to this author for sending this all the way from Australia after a failed first attempt to send the book my way. I can't thank you enough. Thank you. So I read the novella to this series. To the rest to the gods, I think is what it is. I always mix up the title a little bit and I apologize, but it was fantastic. The world building, the magic, the characters, how the story flowed was so well done and memorable. I want to reread it before I dive into this one, as silly as that might sound, but I loved how it all flowed. I am so excited for this one. This is one that I've been eager to dive into, and just look at that cover. It is stunning. As far as I remember, this is a read for anyone who loves intricate world building and those character-driven stories as well, with some influences from The Wheel of Time and Redwall, I believe. So go check this series out. Again, try the novella. It is such a great read, and this is one that I am really looking forward to digging into as well. And those are the books in today's book haul. Thank you so much again to the authors for sending books my way. Thank you to all of you for watching, and if there's a book that stood out to you that you've read and maybe I should prioritize over the others, leave your comments below because I would love to hear your recommendations. I also have a task of reorganizing my bookshelves, so if you have any suggestions on how to make that process a little less stressful, that would be greatly appreciated as well. Leave your comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and take care of yourselves.